So welcome to the last panel, and hopefully the best panel. No, just kidding. And I'm going to take the privilege of compete. Yes, exactly. I apologize, but I'm going to call you by your first names. But you know, we had some interesting conversations, and I want to set this panel kind of also a little bit in the context of this the elephant in the room, which is the competition between the United States and China right now. But to try to end it also on a positive note. But before we jump into that, you know, I think a lot of this conversation we see is about the competitiveness of industry and of academic institutions and the sort of rise of China. But you know, I also sort of want to understand the difference as well. Maybe Ben, could you start out by describing? Many of us know MIT, but for Tsinghua, how would you describe it, and how is it different from MIT?
Sure. So I'm going to speak in Chinese, Mandarin, so I can speak fast to save more time. 事实上呢，昨天MIT 的校董会的执行委员会花了很长的时间在清华大学和清华的校长们、院长们在进行交流。交流中发现，当然这也许实际上是一个老早大家都了解情况，就是发现 MIT 和清华有很多相似之处，特别是在精神层面上，两个学校都有一种在清华我们叫做行胜于言，英文叫 actions speak louder than words 啊，就是 just do it， 就这种非常重视实干的这个精神，确实是两个学校非常大的一个共性。同时也看到了很多的清华的学生在 MIT 就读或者后来去教书，以及双方有很多共同的校友。刚才说到的这个目前这样的一种竞争的这个情况，其实在我看来的话，在教育界起码，其实也看到了越来越多的合作的这个情形。如果拿我所熟悉的商学院来说，我看到越来越多的排行榜上面，事实上是那些joint program 那些联合举办的项目，现在越来越有机会排在了更靠上的位置。我想它提供了很多学生除了教学内容之外，很重要的一些其他的产出。这本来是应该教育应该重视的一些产出，其实原来被估计的不够。比如，如果是一个联合举办的项目的时候，通常他们会获得更丰富的、更大范围的一个校友群体，以及其实本身的学习过程也能成为一个跨文化的体验和成长的一个过程。再有就是。很多时候，这种环境会促使人的这种一些潜能、一些原来不是很觉察到的东西被发挥出来。所以，其实我对于这种所谓交叉和融合有非常大的好感。我觉得 MIT 也好，清华也好，美国的学校也好，中国的学校也好，其实应该说合作的潜力是非常之大的。我就先说到这儿。
And Xiao'ou, you were mentioning that you have many students or graduates from MIT as well as Tsinghua. How are they different? And
okay, so I'm going to speak in English again. Well, actually, in my lab and in the company, we have a lot of students from Tsinghua, and also quite a number of students who went to MIT. Got their PhD and came back. And myself has been in the college in China, USTC, then go to MIT. So I can also see the difference between the education system. I always say that it's so much harder to get into Tsinghua than to get into MIT, because to get into MIT is like get into Olympic Games. So you can be good at, one of the hundreds of, competition games. But to get into Tsinghua or any top university in China, they only test a 100-meter dash, just one test. The whole national exam just test on one thing. But for MIT, you can do interview, you can be good at music, you can be, any other things. So it's kind of the diversity. And kind of that's why I can get into MIT. I get a good reference letter, then I get in.
Good for us.
So in that sense, in terms of competition, we actually have quite a big problem in China because all the students look quite the same. They're all good at math. They're all good at programming, all good at physics. But at MIT, in Harvard, some students good at sports, some good at music, some good at arts, some good at academics. Yeah. So eventually people can collaborate. Yeah. And they don't compete with each other all the time. So you always have something for GPA at the bottom. Yeah. And they can be happy because they are good at something else. In terms of collaboration, because we are so stressed for individual study, academics, we don't really do a lot of sports. So during the lunch, we talk a lot about the Boston Red Sox and all the sports. Actually, in the high school in the U.S., you have so much stress on sports. And it's really not for the sports. It's really for training of collaboration ability. A lot of team sports is about collaborations, but we don't have that kind of training. So I think that's probably one of the reasons we are so bad at soccer, at all levels, because we just don't have that kind of training. So collaborations that affect us, in real life. So I think, in a sense, we should probably stress more in that. And for AI, it's also, again, about collaboration with traditional industry and between industries and also between companies and between countries. So I think this is really very important. Yeah.
Well, I think it's good for us that Tsinghua is so hard because then we could get the students that don't get into Tsinghua.
That's true.
But I think I think collaboration is very important because I think we're always talking about the competition between the countries, competition between the companies, and one of my collaborators, Martin Novak, in evolutionary dynamics, has a wonderful paper that shows that competition is just a small part of the success of a strategy. And when you look at when you look at evolutionary dynamics, the strategies for cooperation actually are very important. And when you look at something like a rainforest, the wonderful complexity that you have is actually the cooperative strategies between the species. And you also need diversity. So it's kind of good that the Chinese system is different from the American system. And so I'm curious also just, can we think about cooperative strategies, especially since we're both because I think that the politics is very competitive, but I think today has really been about how do we collaborate. But as you think about, I know you've been meeting with the big shots from MIT, and what are some interesting collaborative strategies you think that we might have? Do you have any?
Actually, 事实上，刚才小欧说到中国的特别考试制度哈，其实这个我觉得必须要改，这是我完全同意。其实我昨天跟MIT 校长还有其他的一些校董说，目前我们也看到了有这样的一种制度情况底下，有不少很好的中学的毕业生，我们把它流失到了其实欧美的一些学校中间。但从另外一个角度来讲呢，其实就是刚才你讲到的就是赛跑的这个问题，其实更恐怖的一点是，它不光是说100米要好的问题，其实对于很多在校的学生，他希望他样样都好。换句话说，有非常强的一种求全或者求完满的这样的一种教育的理念，而这种教育理念呢，对于创新创业来说，实际上是有一定问题。很多时候，他容易选择所谓 risk reward， 就是相对来说避免一些太过出头，或者避免一些风险太大。像刚才 Merton 教授来让大家选的话，你会发现容易在这种文化中选择一些相对来说更为稳定、收益更可预期的这种情况。其实我觉得这是非常大的一个问题。但是回到刚才Joey问到2个学校之间或者2个国家之间有什么可以合作？ 其实我觉得这个 inter 英文这个 inter 这个词非常有意思。可以看到创新，大家讲越来越多的发生在跨界的这个地方。小欧上次到清华来，跟我们讲了很多，其实今天商汤所做的事情在跨界的地方的一些美妙之处。其实可以看到，不光是 inter， 比如说现在 industry 不同的 industry， 其实 intercultural， 包括我感觉到在一个公司当中，如果年龄层越来越相似，其实也对创新有很大的不利。很多时候 intergenerational 啊，就是不同的一些代际的人在一起，对创新也非常有好处，也包括 international， 就是国家和国家之间的。有的人更了解在中国的一些用户的习惯，不光是如此，也包括其实对于很多根深蒂固的就该是这样的事情，也许很多时候反而束缚了我们去想出一些非常不一样的这种点子。所以现在只是一些，我们刚才在这个 panel 之前跟 Sanji 签了清华加入这个 Micro Master 的这个计划。其实我想在那样的一个 open for platform 上，一个非常好的地方就是你发现学习者是来自完全不同的地区、年龄、文化、行业，我觉得这会给将来的这种创新带来很多更多的可能。这是我的一点看法。
I think collaboration have many levels, and people-to-people collaboration, group-to-group. In the company, the sales, product, engineer, and research, how they collaborate is very important, and also company-to-company. In the past few years, I really learned a lot of lessons. I mean, if you collaborate with somebody, if you are the ones who is always winning, and at the end, you will be the biggest loser because nobody will collaborate with you anymore. Because for any time when I talk about collaboration, a win-win situation, it means you win twice and other people win zero. It doesn't work that way. But I think a lot of companies are not really finding out this. The same thing is for countries. I think the reason America is so successful is so open. Everybody, the talents go to the U.S. and they collaborate with each other and make the success. And other countries is learning, and China is opening up. So I think opening the border is really important. And in terms of competition, it should be there, but it should not be overdone. In that sense, I think in China, sometimes in education domain, we tend to overdo this. We compete, the best school and the ranking and all these things. I think somewhere I learned this something called the theater effect. This is like in the old days when I was in primary school, in junior high. In the afternoon, on the class finish, we go home, we just play around. But nowadays, the students from 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock, study hard, and in the weekend, they all work hard. All the school, if you don't do that, or the other school do that, then your school fail. You cannot get to college. So this is kind of like in a theater. Everybody is sitting there watching the movie. Then suddenly, somebody in the front row stand up. And then you can either watch his back head or you stand up too. When you stand up, the next row stand up, then everybody stand up. And the end effect is the same, but it's just you all stand there. And then one guy stand on the chair. Then the next guy start to stand on the chair. So everybody stand on the chair. Then it's again the effect is the same, but you end up really tired standing there. But this is not can be solved by a single person. It's really the rules, the policy, the culture. We need to change that in order for this to work. Yeah.
And I think I saw some surveys that showed that, so there's a generation called Generation Z, which is born 2001 and after. They're just turning 18. And most of them actually would rather have happiness than money. And most of them understand these complex systems like climate change more emotionally. We understand it rationally, but I think they understand it emotionally. And I think they could be more cooperative than we have, because we grew up in a generation where our parents were trying to make more stuff more efficiently, more productively, because that was what we were missing. But when we talk about public health, when we talk about climate, when we talk about societal problems, a lot of these problems are because we are so efficiently making more things. And so I'm very optimistic about maybe the values of this young generation if we don't train them the wrong way, you know. And I think a lot of this also, these kids, I think maybe globally can connect. And I don't know if you see this. I see this in my students at MIT, the new ones. Do you see this kind of trend in the Chinese youth?
Yeah, kind of. But the thing is, they have never experienced the hungry before. Yeah. But I think in general, the whole world as a whole, I totally agree with what you said. But in China, I'm always pessimistic. There is one danger, which is a little bit different from what you said, is that we have so many single child family. They have not, learned to cooperate. In that sense, it could be a little bit dangerous. But in terms of materials, in terms of the things they experienced, this such a connected world. In the old days, we only see our neighbors, but now they can see the whole world. So certainly, they experience a lot more things, and they get satisfaction from many things instead of just the food, just the materials. So I totally agree with your observation. Yeah.
So in my experience, actually, I see lots of we call helicopter parents effect. So my generation, actually, lots of my classmates, their parents, they don't have a 4-year college education experience. But nowadays, all the university students, almost all of their parents are very well educated. But in the meantime, the young kids kind of lack of independence. So when they want to do some decisions, they always ask their parents' opinion. After we have a May Day holiday, when they do some choices about different majors or re-choose their major, then after a long holiday for May Day, things are quite different because of their parents. And their parents are more eager to give opinion and also try to influence their kids. That's another new problem I see in my institute. Yeah.
And this is, I think, the last question we can talk about. But I think, though, that this collaboration requires students from China to come to the U.S. and students from the U.S. to come to China. And so we will fight against this attempt to create this visa problem. But one thing I notice a problem is a lot of professors don't want their best students to go away. So they hold them tight, especially engineering, I think. And also, Xiao, I want to end with your example of, you're the perfect example, I think, of the benefit of seeing both worlds. But I don't know, is there a way to improve this? Because I think as the universities here get better, the tendency will be to stay, and how can we increase this physical exchange?
有一点我觉得我非常赞同汤教授是说我们需要更多的体制上的一些变化，比如现在你仍然可以看到在大学当中很多衡量是针对单个学生的，而不是根据一个 team 的。在看论文发表的时候，很多时候在中国的大学当中，对 co-author 的尊重程度是不够的。很多时候非常在意，比如第一作者或者是通讯作者，这些东西其实都妨害着，比如说一些更开放的这种合作。而至于说到送学生去到比如其他的一些学术机构，工程的教授们会，在我的观察中会比较因为工程相对来说对学分对于自己所教授的内容的要求更严格，而且有很多时候确实师徒之间希望能够合作做一些项目的这种倾向会更强。但是我只是说，也许我们应该设计出一些更灵活的机制来，让工程的学生也更有机会去参加更多的交换，像商科、像其他的学科的学生一样。我不知道小欧。
Well, a couple of things you mentioned. For the students, in my lab, I always send the best student away. The best student who stayed with me the shortest. They stay for 2 years and almost 3 years. Then they get a lot of top papers, and they go to MIT, go to Stanford, go to Oxford. And of course, those stayed who is also good, but just, so I always think, if you think in the shoes of the student, if you give them the best choice, and at the end, you also benefit the most. So I think that's why SenseTime is so successful now, because all the students, they have their best choice, stay in Hong Kong, go to overseas, or go to work in the company, and when we have the company, they come back. So I benefit a lot from that. And for the company, for the collaboration, I was mentioning, I was telling you that in China, people, the internet company tend to have a culture of wolf. They compete with each other, they destroy the competitors. And I always tell people that the culture of SenseTime is a ship. We collaborate. We are nice. We're nice people, and we have empathy with each other. I think we understand that our brain always functions differently from each other because we have different growth paths. We have different training data, so we think differently. So we understand what others are thinking. But of course, we don't want to be the regular ship because the regular ship follows the crowd. We want to become the black sheep, the one which is different. In English is a bad word because in the family, everybody go to college and you really drop out the high school, then you are called the black sheep. But we are using it in a positive way, dare to be different. And in terms of the two countries, I think once again, I want to thank MIT for coming at this time. And I think these two countries really need to collaborate. We really need to keep the open border, open door to each other. This morning, I listened to the talk of the gravitational wave. And you just think about that and think about our Earth, this planet, how tiny we are, in the whole universe. Such a tiny universe. And that's in terms of space. And in terms of time, I mean, for the whole room, everybody in this room, I think in 80 years, we are all going to die, right? So let's take the time we are living here in this tiny planet. Let's be nice to each other, and let's work together.
Be nice to each other.
Collaborate.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think wonderful.
I think that's a great way to end, and I think the black sheep will come together. We're also all black sheep at MIT, if you haven't noticed. Thank you so much, Xiao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy ending.
Thank you.